ndinoda kuti nyika isiwe vanhu vangu inguva yedu hatingatadzi kubudirira mwari ari parutivi pedu rambai muchirwa. My hitters don't die, the real hitters gon' shine, and my people gon' line. That's my point to win, yeah. I ain't saying
how the hell do I not have a deal? I swear this thing is a real dog. I play it fan off, the cowards that they can't feel. The wife try to console me like it's coming, baby, chill. She don't understand. I'm the only one that's real. I remember the third grade. Them kids, they had waves. I had them BDBs. You know that Zimbabwean grade. So they do shades. And your boy hit the stage, press play, and all the chicks was like, yeah. While boys was moving bricks, I was moving chips. If she gave me calculus, gave her a mouthful of it. Heat rose to this thing, boy, I bet on myself.
Welcome. Grand rising to all of y'all out there. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday, and I want to welcome you to a fantastic Friday today. I'm so excited. We got some amazing, beautiful queens in the building. Kristina Clark is here. She's going to be telling us all about the Loving Room, amazing space right there in the Central District, bringing healing books and another amazing space for folks to utilize for community gatherings right there to the CD. So I'm so excited to talk to her. And then coming up later on in the show, we got Rasheda Hatchett in the building. She is one of our new recurring life experts. I'm so excited for her first segment here on season 2 of The Day with Trae. We're going to be sharing some remedies for those failed New Year's resolutions that a lot of us end up struggling and dealing with. I'm so glad that she's here to bring us some tips and tricks that we can use to get through all of that. But of course, y'all know it's the top of the show, so it's a great time for you to tag and share the stream. Go ahead, tag and share the stream with folks you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on The Day with Trae. If you can't watch us, you can always listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network, The Day with Trae. Y'all will find me on Google, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, you name it, whichever one is your favorite. So please search for us, find us there if you cannot watch our show. That's all right. Also, huge shout out to everybody who is tagging and sharing the podcast, tagging and sharing the stream. We appreciate all of you. It really has been such a huge honor to be on this platform and to bring amazing stories to you all. So thank you so much for all the love you guys been pouring back in here to the show. It's reciprocal, right? And I'm appreciative of it. Well, I want to get started right away because I don't want to waste any time. Kristina Clark is up next. She's in the building. She's going to be telling us all about the Loving Room. It is a new, amazing space, and already I've been hearing nothing but great things about it. What's up, Kristina?
Hey, good morning, Trae. I'm feeling good. I'm so honored to be on the show with you today. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm so glad we got connected. And shout out to Geneva Burton, who was like, look, you got to know about this space. When she came several weeks ago, she was sharing that she was going to do an event there. And I know you guys just had an event last night, but before we get into that, tell us a bit about the Loving Room.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. So Loving Room, also known as Loving Room Diaspora Books and Salon, is a Black woman, independently owned community bookstore, reading room, and a cultural salon. So we have a variety of books for readers, Black readers of all ages, Black authored books. I say about 99% Black author books. Yes, that is the goal, to really center our literature and our narratives. We have children's literature, books for young adults, and then, of course, fiction and nonfiction across a variety of genres for adults as well. We have new titles that are available for sale, and definitely trying to feature a lot of current Black authors. Then I also have what's considered the Reading Room Collection. So it's a permanent collection of books, and it's a lot of used and donated titles, some vintage, some new, but that's really available for people to either read on site at their leisure or to actually take home with them and then bring back whenever they feel it's time. So that is Loving Room in a nutshell. We're also, like you mentioned, a community event space. So it is available available for private bookings. I have sliding scale pricing to really be able to make it accessible to the community. But it's an activated space. And I guess the thing that stands out is that, for me, I think about literature as just a vehicle. And it's one way that we can come to an experience of healing as Black people and in collective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just hearing you talk about it because it's so necessary. And what I love is that we need a wide variety of spaces to really just be. And that's what I've heard about Loving Room. I've heard that, this is a space where people really feel welcome. They understand that it's like a space where they're learning too, because a lot of your book collection there is speaking to, like you said, all ages. It's speaking to our culture, and it provides, I think, when you hear 98 to 99% of Black authors in one space, I mean, for Black people, we go there and we go, oh, it's like, let me take a breath. Like I've been waiting to exhale in all these other spaces that aren't built for me. But Loving Room is very intentional about that. I want to hear about the beginning of this story for you in terms of going on this journey to open Loving Room for all of us to be able to appreciate and explore.
Thank you so much for that question. So the vision for Loving Room is actually quite long. It dates back to over a decade at this point. It took me quite some time to really, I think, build up the confidence and the courage to say that this is something that not only can I do, but that I have permission to do. Some of us, we're a little reluctant when it comes to these passion projects. So I started thinking about Loving Room, I want to say back 2012, 2013. At the time, I was working at Garfield High School, and I was at Garfield for a little over 5, almost 6 years. In 2 different roles, I was working with ELL students as a bilingual instructional assistant, and also working with the Black Student Union at Garfield. So if y'all remember when things were off and popping 2013, 2014 with the BSU, that was the time that I was there. And so Loving Room was a product of both. On the one hand, my personal passion for books. I feel like I'm a lifelong reader. I just love books, and I especially love Black author books because it speaks truth to our experiences, both as on the individual level and as a collective in a historic sense. And I feel like it's been very nurturing and healing for me. So that's something I really wanted to share. At the time that I was working with Garfield, I was having conversations with students and also witnessing things in the classroom that really had me thinking about what does it mean for us to experience our literature in a way that's affirming and centers our humanity and our dignity, and especially thinking about our young people. And I've talked about this, in some of the places where I've had the opportunity to talk about Loving Room. Is it was always shocking to me, working at Garfield or being at, say Douglas Truth, places where like Black youth would frequent, to see people getting kicked out of the library. And that was just a common thing of like Black youth being in the library, but maybe they're being too loud according to, educators. And so they're being confronted. Do you have a pass? Who sent you here? Why are you here? And in my mind, I'm thinking these young people are in a library. Can we just pause for a minute and think about all the other things that they could be doing? They're in a library, they're socializing, they're with their friends. So that was definitely part of the seeds of Loving Room. And then, life shifts. I'm now actually a parent. I have 2 daughters. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. So as a parent, I think it's been a really healing experience for me to be sharing Black books, Black author books with my daughters. It's amazing just the abundance of books that are being published right now by Black writers, and then just how many themes and topics are being unearthed to speak to, our intergenerational healing. There's so many messages of affirmation, positivity. So I think as a parent, that was another degree of just urgency towards bringing this to life. And then I'll say most recently, on the local level, we're looking at the ongoing onslaught of gentrification. We know that we're still being massively displaced in the Central District. And without getting into too much detail, there's some property that I have my eye on. I could tell you going back to like 2014, those little storefronts right next door to Langston. I remember meeting with Royal back in like 2014 and talking to her about this vision. And she was saying, yes, whatever you want to do, we'll support you. Fast forward to now, 2021, 2022, and now 2023, those storefronts are still vacant. They're still not in use. They're still right next door to Langston. They could be activated, but they're not available for folks to rent. And I found that out this last year. The current owners had been looking for tenants and then kind of did a 180 and decided that they weren't going to make it available. And so I think because that was my dream spot, I had my eyes on it for so long. Like once the bubble burst, it was like, okay, so what is Living Room? If it's not this location that you've been imagining for so long, what is it? And then what do you need to do to make this happen? So really probably about a year ago, almost this month or February last year was when I really started moving things into place. And it's been an outpouring spiritually, emotionally, materially, financially. But I've also been met. As much as I've poured out, I've also received. Community has given back. I've had donations. I've had book donations. I've had like 96-year-old woman literally bring me boxes upon boxes of books, all Black authors, everything labeled and organized that she wanted to see going to a home where she knew they would be stewarded and cared for. She had signed copies of vintage Maya Angelou, Alice Walker. Like, I can't even tell you. It's just a treasure trove. I've had a retired Black librarian donate Poland books off her personal shelf at home. It's just been incredible. So I think it was just, like I said, kind of trusting that this is the moment and then putting it out there. And I've just been astounded. It's been amazing. So
I'm gonna tell
yeah,
you,
thank you.
that right there is, when you create a space like that where people can pour into it in the
Yes.
ways that you just described,
Mhm.
it wouldn't be that if that space wasn't there.
This is
So
true.
kudos to you for
Thank
the
you.
vision and for pushing through. I'm so emotionally
Oh my goodness.
overwhelmed right now just
Thank
listening to the
you.
story
Thank
because
you.
our people are doing it again. When I think
Right.
about the brilliance that this wall
Yes.
represents,
Yes.
every Monday through Friday, I'm in
Right.
front of this wall and I'm always thinking about how we are carrying
Yes.
these amazing legacies forward, how we're staying resilient and persistent in the face of so much oppression, gentrification, disruption of our lives and our communities. And the proliferation of our culture where we
Right.
don't really always receive the benefits of that.
Yes.
But we know that Black culture drives culture throughout this
Yes.
country and the globe.
Listen.
And so I love hearing the intentionality of your vision and to also share that none of this comes super easy. These are things that we have to press for. And these are opportunities when we understand the value of what we're bringing to our community. It's on us to see
Yes.
it through. So kudos to you, Kristina,
Thank
because
you.
honestly, without you doing that, the connectivity that you just described, and I know that will continue on
Right.
as people hear this story today, that is because you created that space. And I'm so glad that you were able to find another storefront in the
Listen.
Central District, right? Because it's
No.
like only right that it's there.
Exactly.
But you have an amazing space, and honestly, I'm so grateful to know that you've opened it up for communities to host events there. Tell us
Yes.
a bit about that, because I know
Yes.
Geneva was doing
Right.
her series there, Black Love Seat series. You had an amazing event last night.
Right.
Tell us a bit about how the events have been like, also bringing energy into Loving Room.
The events truly are the heartbeat and the energy of Living Room. I have to say that it's pretty quiet, daytime. I know people are at work and at school, but when folks come into the space for an event, that's where you really feel that activation. So yeah, like you mentioned, Geneva came in back in December and she talked about her program, which is a Black Love Seat series. This is a space for centering Black joy, Black connection, Black love, and through different mediums. So the first event, it was beautiful. Geneva was there. She had a friend. She had a couple people with her. It was like spoken word, like improvisation, live music, drumming, and then just an activated space where people could share experiences. And just the energy was so high. The vibes were very high. That at the time, that was probably the most people I'd had at the space at that point. It was completely full. It was like intergenerational space. That was beautiful. And I know she's going to continue to bring that series back. I think we're taking a pause in January, recalibrate for the new year. So you can find her on Where is Neva And of course, Loving Room Books is where you can find out more about the programs that we offer in partnership with groups like Neva's work. In addition to that, I partnered with Seattle Urban Book Expo. So I know you all know Jeffrey Cheatham. He brought an event, we called it Write In, Write On. And it was a writing activity, a guided facilitated writing activity. It was a 3-hour long program. Jeffrey had guided writing exercises. We also provided food. It was just a really mellow spot where you could come and delve into your work. So that was a beautiful event. We're hoping to do that quarterly. The next one, I don't have the exact date, but I think it's like the third Sunday in February. So you could keep an eye out for that as well. And then, yeah, most recently, I'll just go right into it because I actually have something for you from the event last night. I'm super excited to share. But we had Rue Map. And if you're not familiar with Rue Map, she is the founder and CEO of an organization called Outdoor Afro. Outdoor Afro is, I believe, over 10 years old at this point. But they have like over 30 chapters spread throughout the United States. And according to her, it's the place where Black people and nature meet. So it's really about celebrating like a reclamation of our relationship to the land as Black people, a healed connection to the land, being able to experience the outdoors, hiking, fishing, all of these different things that, you know, for very many reasons, we don't always gravitate to immediately. There's, you know, real questions about safety and, you know, how do we be outside and be safe? But she's created a community. It's like a digital platform through her blog that she started with Outdoor Afro. And now it's just this like thousands deep community. I think she had like over 91,000 people on her Instagram, and I realized the level of her impact. And she was here in Seattle and has a new book out. I'll go ahead and show the book because I have a copy for you right here, Trae. So y'all could take a look. So this is her book. It's called Nature Swagger, Stories and Visions of Black Joy in the Outdoors. It's an anthology. So it's a collection of testimonies and photographs from Black people all over the country and around the world, talking about their healed relationship with the land, with the outdoors. So she gave her author talk. We had local outdoor educator Kevin Debs. He was hosting the event, or hosting the author talk and the Q&A, and it was packed. It was beautiful. Wow. So this is just the beginning. This was our first author talk. We have some other things coming up. There's a professor at UW, Dr. Habiba Ibrahim. She teaches in the Department of English. She has a book out. So we're looking at bringing her in March. It's going to be a 2-part event. So a book club meeting and then an author talk with her as well. So just getting, you know, the juices flowing and starting to plant seeds and hopefully seeing a lot more come to flourish in the space along these same lines with that same energy of Black healing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for bringing me a gift. And I will say, Curtis, did you already show the photos? I'm sorry, I've been so enthralled.
Oh, no, you're fine.
We do have some photos of the space that people can kind of get a feel for. This is amazing because you have right there an amazing kind of family feel when you walk in already, very warm and inviting. And then you also gave us a photo that showcases what it looks like when people are there. So, I mean, clearly there is a lot of great energy happening. Kristina, this is a spot for you to be sharing these amazing events. Always know that you can come here. We can check in, you know, let me know what's going down for the month, for the quarter, whatever, because I really, really appreciate the opening of Loving Room and everything you are bringing to the Central District. One more time, look right there in the camera before I let you go. Let folks know how to connect with Loving Room.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Trae. It's been a gift and a pleasure to be on the show with you here today. You can find us on Instagram at Loving Room Books. You can also find us online at lovingroombooks.community. And then as our physical address, we are on the corner of 20th and Union in the Central District, and the address is 1400 20th Avenue. So we're just on the north side of Union, right in the heart of the Central District. So thank you, Trae. I appreciate you. This has been a gift. And I'm looking forward to the ongoing conversations. I know we have some things bubbling too, as far as some programs that are coming into the space. So I'm really excited to get those details in place and then to be able to share that with the community.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I could talk to Kristina for a very long time, but of course I got to leave space because Miss Rasheda Hatchett is in the building. And when I tell y'all, she is looking fabulous on this Friday. I mean, I done came dressed down, but she is all the way right. Right after this short break, I get to dive in with her. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Prosperity in Black America. What will this require? Is Black business prospering? Are we reaching women and minority-owned businesses? How do we achieve earning parity for wealth for our families? Do our children really have access to education? Will our families have choices for our children? Prison pipelines, mass incarceration, tearing our families apart. A healthcare system not accessible to the masses. The disproportionate termination of Black women from corporate America. When will we actually begin to address what's really at play? How do Black people gain more power to help make these changes? This requires a lot of political will and courage. I'm that provocateur of change. I am Cindy Bright. Welcome to Heartbeat.
COVID-19 hurt my income, my health, and my family. We were about to lose our home when we heard we might be eligible for homeowner assistance funds from the government. We called 1-877-894-HOME, and a housing counselor stepped in, talked to our lender, and saved our home. Federal funding details at washingtonhalf.org. That's washingtonhaf.org.
Will you marry me, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put this on you.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Trae Holiday. We're bringing back Black Love When We Met. That's right. We need something to warm all of our hearts and to elevate love once again in our communities. We want y'all to go to whereweconverge.com/Black Love so y'all can nominate your favorite couple for the next rendition of this show with me as the host. Let me sit down and have them on my couch and share how their love can inspire us all. Make sure y'all go and get your nominations in today and be on the lookout for Black Love When We Met coming at you on Converge Media very soon. Welcome back, everybody, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. This is such an amazing episode already, and that amazingness is going to continue because our life expert and resident life coach right now, we got another one in the building, Miss Rasheda Hatchett. What's up, Rasheda?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, we spent some time a while ago talking, but I'm so glad. I want to give you space. Give the people who you are, what you do. Make sure they know.
So I am Rasheda Hatchett. I am a registered nurse by profession, and I am also a resilience expert. So all of the coaching that I do with women is around whole life leadership and using resilience through that lens of being able to bounce back from things and get through life, because life is rough sometimes, and it'll give us a few blows and we have to be able to move forward. And one of the beautiful things about Black women is that we are born resilient, but there are so many things that we can do in order to increase that so that we're not only moving forward, but we're better on the other side of the stuff that happens.
Yeah, I gotta say, we were just having a great conversation about amazing books, and you have your book here. Sis, it's time to thrive.
Yeah.
The Unicorn's Guide to Loving Yourself Audaciously. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Kudos to you. And Amazon.com bestselling author.
Yes.
I mean, wow. Congratulations. And thank you so much for bringing your brilliance here to The Day with Trae. You and I go back a long time, but it's such a beautiful thing to see you not only coming through, killing the game. I mean, I'm telling y'all, this outfit is phenomenal. And I wish the cameras could get your shoes because they are on point. But also, it's so great to know and see you thriving in your purpose. Yeah. Tell us a bit about, some of the things you really kind of generalistically want to be sharing as we have some recurring segments happening with you on this season.
I'm so excited to be a recurring guest. So thank you so much for that opportunity. What I really want folks to understand about what I do is that it really is about moving us forward as a people, moving forward as a person, and setting yourself up for success. So a lot of what I do is around leadership with women. And again, I talk about whole life leadership. So we're leading personally and professionally. And what does that look like? How do we maintain that balance in our wellness and create that harmony that we want to have, where we're doing what we want to do in life? We're walking in our purpose, but we're we're also feeding our families, right? We're also taking care of business. And that can be a really hard balance. You know, often we have these things that are tugging at us that we want to do, but we're not really sure how. How do I do it? How do I step out on faith and get started? So I talk to women who are ready to step out on faith, get started in that thing that sets their soul on fire, that thing that they could do if nobody was paying them, that thing that this, like, it's been tugging at me, it's been pulling at me. And you and I have talked about this before, like having that thing inside of you that you're like, I know that this is what I do to take care of myself, my family, but this is this thing that I just need to just crack open because it's gnawing at me. And so I work with women who are ready to move forward on that thing. They have decided that the time is now. I'm ready, and it's time for me to put myself first and to do the thing that I've been dreaming about.
Yeah, this is so real. And, many of us get stuck in what pays our bills. It's just true because we do have to make a living. That's a part of our life here in this society. However, I love that you are establishing a foundation for many women to find a way to bring that thing out to the public and bring it out of them. And that kind of gets us to some of the things we want to touch on today in terms of, man, we do need some remedies for these failed New Year's resolutions, Rasheda. I know for me, I have a whole system of really cultivating goals in my life for the new year. What does that look like for me in taking my life to another level? Tell us about some of these tips that we need in our lives to ensure that we are staying resilient with these goals.
Well, the big thing about resilience is really making sure that you understand why you're doing what you're doing, if it's relevant to you, what's the reason behind it, and is this something that is really going to move you forward, right? And when we start talking about resolutions, I always kind of sigh when people are like, "Oh, I'm making a resolution." I'm like, "Oh gosh, no, not another one," right? And really, it's because we don't need another resolution. What we need is life change and growth, right? We need sustainable growth in our life, and that doesn't happen by these like swing at the moon resolutions that we make, right? I'm going to begin going to the gym every day, right? But you haven't been to the gym any day in the last 12 months. So is that really realistic, right? And most of the time the answer is no, which is why we don't succeed. And so the first thing that I tell folks is drop the resolution, right? We're not making resolutions. What we're doing is creating life changes, small incremental growth that pushes us forward. Resolutions just don't work. They're not sustainable because we usually don't have a plan around them. That's really why they don't work. We come up with this idea and we just say it out loud and we're like, it's just going to manifest. And that doesn't happen. So that's the first one. The second thing I say is be intentional. Be intentional. Look at what it is that you're wanting to do, how it's going to change your life, what it's going to do differently for you, how you're going to use that thing that you're going to create in this season of growth to be better and to better yourself, your community, and the folks around you, right? So real intentionality around it, understanding and digging into the why of why you're doing this, right? It's not enough to just say, hey, I'm going to focus on my health. Why? What do you want to focus on your health for? What's the reason? What's the why behind it? So that's the second one. Now, third and finally, we've all heard this, create a SMART goal. It's got to be smart. Goals have to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, right? And they've got to have a timestamp on them. Otherwise, you're wishing. You're just throwing something out there into the world and saying, I hope it happens, right? But if we create a SMART goal, if we get specific about what we're going to do, how we're going to measure it, put a timestamp on it. I'm going to do this within the next 2 weeks, within the next 30 days. Now we're starting to create room for us to grow. We're going to call ourselves higher with that, right? And that's the goal. The goal is to expand. The goal is to push yourself outside of your comfort zone so that you can really get to that big audacious goal, right? That swing at the moon thing, we're not forgetting about it. we're just breaking it down into smaller pieces so we can actually succeed at doing it.
Come on, Rasheda. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, we all need to understand that there are so many different avenues to attaining our goals. But if we are not very specific about it, measuring it, doing something that's going to allow us to have a timestamp on it, making it realistic, all of these things. I love that framework. I've used it in my career, right? In work life, you're like, hey, that's what we have to do because we have to move a project forward. Right. So you don't have a choice but to be like, oh, this is a deadline. Okay, now let me look at the end goal here and go backwards, using an agile method. I just love, there's so many different ways. And thank you for bringing that to the forefront because we need it. I'm excited that you're going to be coming on recurringly. Thank you for making time in your busy schedule to be with us. Every month, we're going to be having some amazing segments with you. And I am looking forward to it because I'm telling you, this is something that I also learned from. So, of course, before I let you go, I got to give you time. Let the folks know how they connect with you and all the amazing work that you're doing. Look right there and let them know.
So you can find me on social media. I am on Instagram and Facebook at Rasheda Hatchett Media. Hit my website at RashedaHatchettMedia.com. Go to my page and download your free Resilience Beats Burnout Guide. Go get it. Get on my email list. There's all types of goodies and goodness that is to come for you there. I am excited for you all to bring in this new year with new goals that are realistic, right? Stuff we're actually going to do. We're dropping the resolutions and we are setting ourselves up for success. So use those 3 tips and get moving.
Yeah, get moving. Absolutely. Miss Rasheda Hatchett, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
I told y'all, killing the game today. Brought her A game. Thank you so much for those tips. I'm definitely going to be using them. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Of course, I get to wrap all of this greatness up right after this short break, y'all. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
COVID-19 hurt my income, my health, and my family. We were about to lose our home when we heard we might be eligible for homeowner assistance funds from the government. We called 1-877-894-HOME, and a housing counselor stepped in, talked to our lender, and saved our home. Federal funding details at washingtonhaf.org. That's washingtonhaf.org.
Will you marry me, babe?
Yeah.
Let me put this on you.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Trae Holiday. We're bringing back Black Love When We Met. That's right. We need something to warm all of our hearts and to elevate love once again in our communities. We want y'all to go to whereweconverge.com/Black Love so y'all can nominate your favorite couple for the next rendition of this show with me as the host. Let me sit down and have them on my couch and share how their love can inspire us all. Make sure y'all go and get your nominations in today and be on the lookout for Black Love When We Met coming at you on Converge Media very soon.
Prosperity in Black America. What will this require? Is Black business prospering? Are we reaching women and minority-owned businesses? How do we achieve earning parity for wealth for our families? Do our children really have access to education? Will our families have choices for our children? Prison pipelines, mass incarceration, tearing our families apart. A healthcare system not accessible to the masses. The disproportionate termination of Black women from corporate America. When will we actually begin to address what's really at play? How do Black people gain more power to help make these changes? This requires a lot of political will and courage. I'm that provocateur of change. I am Cindy Bright. Welcome to Heartbeat.
Welcome back, everybody, to The Day with Trae. Of course, it's been a fantastic Friday today. I got to thank my guests, Kristina Clark, and of course, Rasheda Hatchett. You know, Kristina gave me this book right here by Rumap, Nature Swagger. And for those of you who don't know, I spent a great portion of my high school time living in the woods. I lived in the woods during the summer before I went into 11th grade. So from 10th to 11th grade, 6 weeks in the woods with Seattle Conservation Association. We rebuilt vegetation, restored a whole 2.5 mile long trail. And I had the time of my life. It really cemented so much of who I am today in terms of being an environmentalist, caring for the world and the earth. And I love seeing Black people out here doing it. And that's what this book is about. So Kristina really gave me a gem. And also, I would have the other book here, but she just signed it for me. So now I got 2 signed copies. You guys make sure you go to Amazon and get your book from Rasheda Hatchett, Amazon bestseller right here in Seattle, doing it big and bringing us tips. I'm so glad that she'll be on every month. So I got to give a huge shout out to both of them for bringing the inspiration on this first Friday of season 2 for the Day with Trae. They both killed it for me. And of course, I want y'all to be inspired. You know I'm going there. People, be inspired by the stories of Kristina and Loving Room. Be inspired by the tips that Rasheda was sharing, because we do need to take some real seriousness about our goals, breaking big ones down into incremental steps so we can get there. Let's all be on this journey together, and let's all find a way to see ourselves as a part of the solution, as the two of them have. Of course, for me, until Monday, y'all, at 11 a.m. Peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.